All right, Dynasty Nerds here, back again. This time we're with the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast crew. We have Tyler Gunther, we have James Crease, we have Ed.
Doug Eddy.
Ed
Dougie.
First name gets everybody. It's fine.
Two first names.
I'm terrible.
Never trust me.
Give us your Twitter handle where we can find you.
At DHH Tyler.
At FF_chef.
At the Fantasy Father.
And of course, you can follow them or listen to their podcast, the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast, a top-rated Dynasty podcast. Now, second on the schedule, we're talking about 2021. Here we go into Dynasty New Year. Maybe, I know you guys had some guys that you think are some good rookies that you think people aren't talking about enough. Tyler, give me a guy that you like.
So I'm going to take this from Doug. I'm going to go Josh Palmer for the Chargers.
Yes.
Dick.
Okay, so when you have an internal employee like the cornerbacks coach for the Chargers go up to kind of the scouts and say, watch this kid, he's not done growing into who he could be, and actually look at him and draft him, and that's their cornerback coach that they have in not San Diego, L.A.
Close enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's all one state.
It's only a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
Right up 95 there.
I don't know maps.
He's only traveled once since
I've only traveled like once or twice.
And look, here he is from Minnesota to Menor, Ohio. Look at us. Look at us.
I mean, if you want tater tot advice, come to me. But tater tot hot dish.
All right, we're still here talking Josh Palmer.
All right, Josh Palmer. I mean, he's got the speed, he's got the size, he's got the physicality. He's just growing into who he could be. He's got potential to have a great route tree, and he just seems like he can grow in this offense. And when you got Herbert as your quarterback, you want to have a piece of that offense. Kind of the reason why people are on Mecole Hardman. I mean, you want Mahomes, you want people with Herbert, people who just sling the ball around. So Palmer.
I don't know who wants Mecole Hardman, but I believe they're out there. And then listen, he's also got the draft pedigree because it just came out recently. The Chargers are unlikely to pick up or re-sign Mike Williams. So Keenan Allen going into 29th year there, Justin Herbert, 3rd round pedigree. And they've shown that guys like Ty Johnson can produce at a high level if just given opportunity. So Josh Palmer's given opportunity, which most likely will not be 2021. In 2022, Josh Palmer could pay dividends to your dynasty team.
Oh, yeah.
And we are playing Dynasty Fantasy Football, so this is a good opportunity to pick up somebody that you think could be a high-producing, or, again, high-producing is probably a strong word, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 range that could potentially be the wide receiver 1 when Keenan Allen takes over. I love it. Give me a guy.
All right, so since we're in the stealing from Doug mood, I'm going to take Ramandre Stevenson.
Okay.
All right.
Hashtag 1 to 2 year window.
1 to 2 year window, but I think it hits more like the 1.5 mark, and you start to see him bloom. I mean, Sony Michel probably won't be back there next year. Bill Belichick's been used to having a bigger back. LeGarrette Blount as an example, not as big as LeGarrette Blount, 245. No, he's not 245. He's about 225, 6 foot, can handle the ball on the goal line. And we just saw what he did against the Redskins, broke a 91-yard to the house, walked the tightrope on the outside. Not many big guys can do that, and he's got the extra level of speed to finish plays. So I think he has a chance to get in that offense.
I love
and
it.
tear some stuff up.
When watching the tape back, I said it on my podcast, the Dynasty Nerds podcast, saying, like, this guy, when I'm watching him, he's a real nice prospect where, not that I love him to the point where, like, oh, I got to have him.
Not overly excited.
He's a 1 to 2 year guy that I can start on my team if given the opportunity. And they drafted him high enough. A lot of 1 year deals there. Like I said, Sony's out. James White's on a 1 year deal there. So there's going to be an opportunity for him that he took in the 4th round there for him to produce. And we saw that big time run by him. Now, granted, it was for some scrubs. But that's okay. And listen, when you say 1 to 2 years, some people in Dynasty will be like, oh, that's it, 1 to 2 years. If you get 1 to 2 years out of any running back, you hit Dynasty gold if you can play them. So for me, I like Ramandre Stevenson too. He gave you a little taste on his first preseason game. I think it's a fantastic buy. Who do you got?
All right, so I'm going to steal one from Doug too. So my guy this year, so we've talked about rookies, Josh Palmer, 2022. We talked about Ramandre Stevenson, mixing it up a little bit this year, which I think is true because they bulked up the offensive line. They're going to run the football and play defense, New England. So Ramandre is going to play this year. But my guy this year, in year 1, that should be able to contribute is Nico Collins from Houston.
Love him.
Because in Houston, you've got Brandon Cooks, you've got Kiki QT, they traded for Anthony Miller. They've got all smaller, quick, diminutive guys. They don't have anyone that profiles as an alpha outside receiver. So Nico can fit that role. And I think if Nico Collins, if we were to have a formal combine Nico Collins would have been drafted a little bit higher. We've all seen the Michigan, angle is crappy passing offense, elite athletes like Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Who's having a fantastic camp. It came up biggest in camp last year.
He flashed last year.
Huge steal for your Browns.
He had like the longest high jump in combine history.
44 inches.
So now we're seeing Nico come in, and now we don't know what Deshaun Watson's situation looks like, which is the big mystery. But even with a guy like Tyrod Taylor, who I think throws an underappreciated deep ball in the league, I think Nico can be that big red zone target, that big outside target. He's already working with the ones, should carve out a role in his rookie year, and it would not surprise me if he is a weekly starter for teams in his rookie year.
As a wide receiver 3?
I would say as a wide receiver 3, or at least a really great bye week fill-in for your teams.
Which is always a quality player to have. Definitely add as young as he is. Because we're talking about a 5-star recruit, essentially, went to Michigan and produced, like you said, Donovan Peoples-Jones, who, on our last Dynasty Nerds podcast, I said was one of the best buys in fantasy football right now.
He's a throw-in.
And when I watched Nico's tape, I kept coming back to him like, all right, outside of this top tier of receivers, which we all know the names, right? Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, those guys right there, and you can throw Rondale Moore in that mix if you want to, too.
Terrace Marshall, throw him in the mix.
And Terrace Marshall in the mix as well. There is nobody I liked more than Nico Collins. I thought offered my dynasty upside than Nico Collins. I took him everywhere I could in the third round of my rookie drafts. I think he's a great buy, and I think he's a great buy low, because if you can offer a 22 second, which is a year ahead for a guy like Nico Collins, the upside is there.
People are scared because of the Watson situation. But I think even without Watson, he'll be successful.
Listen, the Texans are going to have the first pick in the draft next year. They're going to get their quarterback of the future. So don't worry about this. This is dynasty. It's long-term play. Yep. I think Nico Collins is an absolutely fantastic play. I think Ramandre Stevenson is a nice short-term window, because Bill, the way they're going to filter through the backs, any kind of running back you can get, they get an opportunity any week. Hopefully it's during the playoffs, can help you lead to a championship. Yeah. And Josh Palmer, I think, is a great prospect as well to get you through, not in 2021, but 2022 when Mike Williams falls off. I love all your guys' takes here. Again, where can they find you?
At DHH_Tyler.
At FF_Chef.
At The Fantasy Father.
And of course, if you want to hear their takes on a weekly basis, you got to check out the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.